Okay, first years, I wanted to run through corrections for the work that I posted to you on Wednesday. So that's page 97, questions 8 and 9. So page 97, question 8 and 9. And then we had page 98, we had question 4 and question 7 to do. So we'll do them next. But our first one's then the last questions that I'd ask you to do about ratio. So we'll kick off with question 8. As we've said, the question states, the ratio of soft sweets to hard sweets in a bag is 5 is to 3. 5 is to 3. So soft sweets to hard sweets. So as I said, soft sweets to hard sweets is 5 is to 3. So you got to read the question carefully and keep it in the order. The order that it's read in the question is the order that the values are given to you. It says then there are 15 hard sweets in the bag, which means how many sweets in total are in the bag. So if we're saying soft to hard is 5 is to 3 and there's 15 of these, there's 15 hard sweets. That means that we've got 3 shares or 3 parts is equal to 15 sweets, isn't it? So all I gotta do, again, if I figure out what 1 share is, I can do everything I need to do. So if 3 shares are 15, that 1 share has to be 15 divided by 3, which is 5. So each share is worth 5 sweets. So if I know that the ratio then is 5 is to 3, and as I said, 1 share is 5 sweets, I know 3 shares are worth 15, and I know 5 shares will be worth 25 sweets, because it's 5 times 5. Each share is 5 sweets, and there's 5 shares giving me 25 sweets. So I now know that it's 25 sweets that are soft and 15 sweets that are hard. And the question asks how many sweets in total are in the bag. So all I got to do to finish that off is add 25 and 15 together. So if I do 25 plus 15, that will give me 40. And that I know that there are 40 sweets in the bag overall. So that's question 8 done. Question 9, we'll move on. The question asks, John is a hotel owner and he buys concentrated orange juice that needs to be mixed with water in the ratio. Concentrate to water is 1 is to 6. So for every 1 part of the orange concentrate, I need to add 6 parts of water. So part A, the question says, one morning 70 litres of juice is mixed. How many litres of concentrate was needed for this? So if we make up 70 litres and it's in the ratio 1 is to 6, concentrate to water. First thing to do, we figure out how many parts there are overall. I add 1 and 6 together and that will give me 7 parts. 7 parts or 7 shares, whatever you want to say. I'm swapping in between the two of those. Now I know that there's 70 litres and it's split into these 7 parts. So if I divide by 7, I'll figure out what 1 part is. And that is 10 litres. So 1 part is 10 litres. And that means that I would have 10 litres of concentrate to 60 litres of water, wouldn't I? 10 litres of concentrate, 60 litres of water. The question asked, how many litres of concentrate were needed for this. So in this instance, because I'm talking about the 70 litres, I needed 10 litres of concentrate. So for part A, my answer is 10 litres of concentrate needed. I'm just going to write conc, because that's what we do to shorten down the word concentrated or concentration. So that's part A done. I'll flip between this slide and the next one now for part B, because we might need some of the info from part A for part B. How many litres of juice will John get from 5 litres of concentrate? So again, we know that our ratio is 1:6. We know that that's concentrate is to water. We know from the previous part, remember it was 10 litres to 60 litres, wasn't it? It was 10 is to 60. And that gave us 70 litres of juice. And this question asks, how many litres of juice will we get from 5 litres of concentrate? So if this is 10 litres of concentrate and I had to figure out how much I'll get from 5 litres of concentrate, I've got to figure out what the ratio is when the amount of concentrate I have is 5. So to get from 10 to 5, I'm dividing by 2, or I'm halving my answer. So I can do the exact same here. 60 is to 30 when I divide by 2, isn't it? So now, these ratios are all the same. 1:6, 10 is to 60, 5 is to 30. 1 part concentrate to 6 part juice. 1 part concentrate to 6 part water, apologies. And that, I've got 5 litres of concentrate, 30 litres of juice, or 30 litres of water, I keep saying that, sorry. 5 litres of concentrate to 30 litres of water. That will give us how much juice overall then? It will give us 35 litres of juice. 35 litres of juice. So that's question 9 done. Moving on then, we had to do some revision questions where we had to do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division of some fractions. So I hope that we were able to do them without too much hassle. I'm going to do 1 or 2 from question 4, and I'll do 1 from question 1, and hopefully we have, or from question 7 I should say, sorry. So we're doing page 98, question 4, and I'm going to do part A and part C, and then we'll do 1 from question 7, and fingers crossed it points you in the right direction and we are able to do it based on the work we've done before the winter break. So I've got 3/7 plus 5/14. When I'm adding two fractions, I have to get a common denominator. I know 14 can be used in this case because 7 goes into 14 and 14 goes into 14. So what I can do, first of all, to change 3/7 to something over 14, what do I have to do? 7 is becoming 14 and it's doing that by multiplying by 2. So if I multiply 7 by 2 to give me 14, that means I have to multiply 3 by 2 and that will give me 6. So instead of 3/7, I've got 6/14. And then over here, for the second one, 5/14, I don't need to change anything. The denominator doesn't change, which means the numerator doesn't change. So I've still got 5/14, and I add them together to give me 11/14. Part C then is a subtraction. Exactly the same process, but instead of adding at this point, I'm going to subtract. We've got 7/8 minus 1/4. So again, I get my common denominator. 8 and 4 both go into 8. So again, I don't need to change this fraction in any way because the denominator is the same, so the numerator stays the same. And that's going to be minus our next part then. I've got 1 over 4. 4 goes into 8 2 times. 2 times 1 is 2. Or I can say 4 to 8 I multiply by 2. So then I have to multiply that by 2 as well. Same as we've done there. So I end up with 7 minus 2 all over 8. And that becomes 5 over 8. Last ones then. Question 7. And I asked you in the post to make sure that we are remembering to use BIMDAS. Very important. I'm going to do part C. I've got 1 over 2. No. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. Part C, I've got 1 over 3 times 1 over 6 plus 1 over 10 divided by 3 over 5. So remember, I've got to do multiplication and division before I do addition. So these two, the multiplication and the division here, are going to be done before I do the addition in the middle. So I'm going to do my multiplication first. That's nice and simple. I do numerator multiplied by numerator, denominator multiplied by denominator. So I've got 1 times 1 gives me 1. 3 times 6 gives me 18. So I've got 1 over 18 plus my division then. Very similar process. Remember, when I'm dividing a fraction, I turn the second one upside down, or I invert it, and then I multiply. So that's going to become plus 1 over 10 times 5 over 3. So I'll carry this down. 1 over 18 plus 1 times 5 gives me 5. 10 times 3 gives me 30. And we can simplify that fraction, I think, to make it a bit easier. Instead of 5 over 30, I can divide each part by 5, can't I? And that will become 1 over 6. So I'm going to replace that with this. And then I'm going to pop that in here. So now I've got 1 over 18 plus 1 over 6. My multiplication and my division is done. So now I just got to do my addition to finish off. And the only reason I've done this is to make it a little bit easier for me. We could do 1 over 18 plus 5 over 30, no issues whatsoever. That would still work for us. But I'm just going to make it a little bit easier by simplifying that fraction. So I've got 18 and 6. My common denominator in that instance will be 18. Again, I don't need to change this one at all. 1 over 6 to be converted into a fraction to 1 over 18 becomes 3 over 18. 6 to 18 I multiply by 3. So 1 multiplies by 3 also. And I end up with 4 over 18. And the last thing I want to do then is to simplify that as best I can. I've got 4 and I've got 18 there, both even numbers above and below the line. So I'll divide by 2. And that will give me 2 over 9, which is my simplified fraction. So hopefully that rings a bell and we're able to attempt the rest of the questions from number 7, and we'll see how we go from there. Thank you very much.